sequels have gained quite a reputation throughout the years as nothing but simple direct-to-video cash grabs. From The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, Mulan 2, to even Lady and the Tramp Scamp's Adventure and The Little Mermaid Return to the Sea. Most of these are just shameless husks bearing no resemblance to their predecessors. However, that is not the case for all Disney sequels. And with the live-action movie just being released, I thought there is no better time than to talk about the sequel to one of Disney's greatest films of all time. That's right, in this video we will be discussing The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. The Lion King was released in 1994 and was adored by critics and fans alike. Earning over $960 million worldwide, it is currently the 35th highest grossing film of all time, receiving 93% on Rotten Tomatoes and an average score of 8.39 out of 10 stars. With all this success, a sequel was inevitable, and the sequel was released in 1998. Now honestly, I love this movie, and there are aspects of this film that I enjoy even more than the original. So here we go, an underappreciated sequel, The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. The movie starts off in much the same way as the first, and we are introduced to one of its greatest strengths, its soundtrack. He Lives in You perfectly reintroduces us to the Pride Lands and the familiar characters we were introduced to in the first film. And while it might not be as iconic as the awesome first soundtrack of the original film, I think it brilliantly reintroduces us to how Simba views the world, with Mufasa and the Great Circle of Life being themes throughout the film. So very early into the movie we are introduced to Kovu, and very quickly it becomes apparent that this film has shifted from one Shakespearean story to another. This is no longer Hamlet, but Romeo and Juliet. This is the aspect of the film that I enjoy the most, the story. Simba has to choose whether he will allow Kovu into his pride or leave him as an outcast. And for as long as I can remember, this dynamic has always intrigued me. Will Simba be able to separate his hatred and anger for Scar from the situation at hand? Will Kovu have to pay for the sins of his father? Is sin and punishment hereditary? Or is there room for forgiveness? These are the questions that Simba is forced to ask. But of course it wouldn't be Romeo and Juliet if there weren't opposing family figures, and opposite Simba is Zira. Oh my word, she is so deliciously evil and is a perfect successor to the villainous Scar. Even her villain song, My Lullaby, is a perfect example of how she can hold the torch once held by Scar. Her hatred for Simba and his family never feels shoehorned in or underdeveloped. We know and understand that Simba killed Scar and banished them to live in the Outlands. And Suzanne Pleshette brings an incredibly charismatic, evil, yet captivating performance, making Zira a perfect partner to Jeremy Irons Scar. I honestly just wish the two had shared some screen time together. So Simba reluctantly lets Kovu into the tribe, and we are entertained by some classic Lion King feel-good moments that build up the chemistry between Kovu and Kiara, as well as some comedy relief moments from Timon and Pumbaa. And all this time we are left thinking, whose side is Kovu on? Kovu and Kiara go on a bit of a journey of self-discovery and identity, with Kovu struggling to understand who he is and what his purpose is. But just as things start to get really deep and we all experience existential crises, Rafiki leads us into one of the most exciting and captivating songs in the movie, Inupendi. When my brother and I were little, we used to sing this song all the time. And by this part of the movie, everything seems to be going great. Simba has finally welcomed Kovu into the pride, and everything seems like it's going to work out. But Simba is attacked by the Outlanders, and we are exposed to another strength of this film, the action set pieces. It's absolutely awesome to see Simba as king be able to hold his own against the Outlanders before being outnumbered. And so of course Kovu is banished from both the Outlanders and Simba's pride, leading to another great song, Deception. But Kiara chases after Kovu to be with him. After another great song, the two discuss the idea of running away together, to leave behind their responsibilities and start their own pride, their own lives. But Kiara reminds Kovu,
our place is with our pride. If we run away, they'll be divided forever.
We are now introduced to one of the most nail-biting showdowns in Disney history. After 2 movies of emotion and anger, it all comes down to this. And honestly, it's a brilliant climax with an awesome blend of music, visuals, action, and drama. And just as the tension is about to boil over, Kiara and Kovu arrive to save the day, telling their parents that the 2 tribes belong as one, and that there is room for forgiveness and acceptance. Well, Zero, of course, does not like this, and her greed, anger, and lust for revenge results in her demise. And the way she goes has its similarities with both Mufasa and Scar. And I think it's a fantastic way of showing that she could not let go of her past. But the movie ends in your typical Lion King style. A beautiful image with Simba and his family upon Pride Rock. And that was The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Is it a perfect movie? I can't really say. But I believe it is a perfect successor to the original film and beautifully continues the story and themes. So if you haven't watched this film yet and you're a fan of The Lion King, I'd highly recommend you watch it.